Hello students, myself Karishma Datta from Saraswat in the International Academy. I am going to teach to standard 9th English medium, subject social science, chapter number 2, First World War and Russian Revolution, part 1. Chapter number 2, First World War and Russian Revolution. Introduction. First point. The yearning of the Western European countries for expansion of the empire, acquire new territories, that is colonies, result in these countries going to Asia and Africa. Okay, yearning over here means what? That is desire. Okay, over here in this line, yearning means what? Desire, right? Now the Western European countries, now what they felt, they had a desire to expand what? Their empire, and that desire lead them to acquire what? That is new territories, and that resulted of their going where? In Asia and Africa. Students, over here, like Western European countries, they were having a desire of expanding what? Their empire. And how would they expand their empire? By conquering what? That is new territories. And how can they conquer new territories? By they started moving themselves where? That is going towards where? That is Asia and Africa continents. Okay, then thus they establish their colonies and expand their rule. Okay, thus what they did, they established what? Their colonies, and even expanded their rules where? That is in Asia and Africa. Who did that? That is the Western European countries. Next, consequently there arose means what? Rise. What do you mean by arose? Rise. Consequently, there arose a competition between European nations to establish colonies. Okay, now different European nations, now they came to Asia and Africa, and they established their colonies and expanded their rule over there. Now a competition arose between whom? That is between the European countries. For what? That is for expanding their more territories, acquiring more territories. That was now the thinking of the all European countries, and for that reason competition started between the European countries. Okay, next one. These greedy for colonialism among the Western European nation cause economic, social, cultural ruin of Asian and African countries. Okay, the greedy, like lalsa ho gayi thi, right? Greedy means what? Lalsa. They were that much greedy of acquiring the Asian and African countries' territory, and because of that reason, ruin means what? Totally destroyed. They totally destroyed economically, even socially and culturally, the countries of Asia and Africa. Who did that? That is the Western European nations, right? Like if I can say economically, that means financially, totally they made them totally weak. Whom they made that? That is the Asian and African countries. Who did that? That is the Western European countries. Social, I said you what is social? That is society. Obviously, when finance is not that much strong, a person is going to be automatically be socially and culturally ruined. And in this manner, by acquiring new territories of Asian and Africa, and even we have seen the competition started between the Western European countries to acquire more territories of Asia and Africa, that also did what? That is, they ruined totally the economic, social culture of the Asian and the African countries. Next, the result of this on world politics was such that the First World War and the Bolshevik Revolution, etc., took place. And because of this result, because of Western countries, their desire of expanding their territories and acquiring new territories, that resulted in the First World War. Obviously, because these Asian African countries were totally economically, socially, culturally ruined, right? That result in the First World War, and even the Bolshevik Revolution, which took place in Russia. Okay, that also took place because of the result of the Western European countries to expand their territories and to earn. Okay. Okay, students, we will see now in detail that how did the Western European countries conquered the areas. Okay, that will be seen in a very detailed form in this points. Okay, the first point over here: Europe and colonialism in Asia and Africa. The first, that is Europe. We'll start with the Europe point. The Western European countries wanted to expand their empire in Asia and Africa. That we have seen in the introduction part, right? That the Western European countries, like, they wanted to expand their territories and they wanted to conquer the new territories to acquire what, that is more power. Okay, so they went to Asia and Africa. Next, their greed for colonization did not spare even their neighboring countries. That means they were that much in greedy. इतनी लालसा थी उनके अंदर, like they were that much of greedy that even they did not spare their neighboring countries, that is the Western European countries. उन्होंने अपनी neighboring countries को भी नहीं छोड़ा. They also even conquered the territories of their neighboring country. Who? That is the Western European countries. Next, Spain had taken control over Netherlands, Belgium, and Luxembourg. Okay, now what did Spain did? Spain conquered the countries, that is Netherlands, Belgium, and Luxembourg. That was conquered by Spain. Then later on, some provinces were captured by France. Over now we can see that Spain has conquered, and after that who conquered later on? That is France conquered the provinces. Then, when the Portuguese king died without an heir means, that is son. He was not having any son. Who? That is the Portuguese king was not having any son. The Portugal came under the rule of the Spanish king because of his blood relation. Okay, right now the Portuguese king died. He was not having any son. The Portugal came under whose rule? That is the Spanish king. Why? Because the Spanish king was having the blood relation with whom? That is with the Portuguese king. In that manner, Portuguese was now in the hand of whom? That is the Spanish. That is with the Spanish king. So in this page or in this topic, what can you see? That first, Spain conquered these regions. After that, France conquered these provinces, and then Portuguese king died. For what reason? That is, he was not having any son. So now he is not having any son. So who would be now be the king of the empire? So the Spanish king undertook it, and as why? Because he was having a blood relationship with the Portuguese king. So Portugal now was under the rule of Spanish king. In this manner, the conquering was being started. Next. So for 6 decades, the monopoly of establishing colony in non-European country was with Spain. From till 6 decades, for 6 decades, monopoly means what? Monopoly of establishing colonies in non-European countries was now in the hand of whom? That is of the Spain. Next, similarly Italy and German state became the victim of the greedy France and Austria. That means France and Austria conquered the Italy and German. Who conquered? That is France and Austria conquered it. Similarly, in that manner, they became the victim of the greedy of France and Austria. Then, when the European power were tightening their grip over Asian and African nation, when the European countries were conquering different territories, tightening, मतलब एकदम जोर लगा रहे थे, grip, like this nation is should be my and my, right? At that time, what was being seen in Asia and Africa nations, many of the European nations which had become free, who have already become free, following the footstep of England. The European countries who were totally freed, right, who were tightening themselves in the Asian and the African nation. Some of the European nations were totally freed. Now they started moving on whose step, that is England. Footstep means as England was moving, they were moving according to it, they were acting according to it. Made many of the Afro-Asian nation their colonies. Made what? That is Afro, that is Africa and Asia nations their colonies. Okay. Okay, student. I forgot to say you one meaning, that is monopoly. Monopoly means what? That is one seller and many buyers. Okay. Now we'll see. We have seen about Europe. Now we'll see that is of colonialism in Asia. Okay, the first one now over here. After strengthening the grip over India, England expanded its empire in Sri Lanka, that Sri Lanka, Myanmar, Singapore, Malaysia. England entered China also. Right? We know that European nations, they conquered India, right? And for how many years did they rule even India, right? So what are they saying over here? That is, after strengthening, making more strong their power in India, that is the England started moving towards where? That is Sri Lanka, Myanmar, Singapore and Malaysia. And even he did not stop over there, he even entered where? That is China also. Next. But due to the opium trade between England and China, there was war which came to be known as Opium War in the history. Okay, student, over here, opium means what? An addition drug made from the juice of a poppy, right? It's an additional drug, right? A trade between England and China was there. Okay, opium trade was being done between England and China. Opium trade was being seen. Okay, there were wars which came to be known as Opium War in history. But due to opium trade between England and China, opium trade was being done. Opium is a drug. Okay, opium is what? That is, opium is a drug, and that trade was being done, and war was being conducted due to that. That is 1839, 1842 till 39 to 42, right? The war was being seen, which came to be known as Opium War in the history. Then China lost this war and thereby lost 5 of its port to England, which England could carry on their trade and thus expanded their empire. Okay, the Opium War was being held between England and China, and what was being seen over here? Like China lost the war and thereby lost 5 of its ports. 5 of its ports were lost by China, and that was been held by England, and England could easily do what? That is trade, and easily expanded their empire wherein China. And why did China lose? They lose because they lost the war, that is the Opium War, that was known as Opium War, which was held in, students, you need to know the year very perfectly. Okay, years need to be remembered very much. That is 1839 to 1842. Okay, now next. Okay, taking advantage of China weakness, Japan, Russia, Germany, France, Belgium and America also acquired trade and political rights. Okay, now obviously England was said to be very much powerful over here. So now over here, China was totally weakened by England by capturing its port, five ports, right? We have seen in the further part. Okay, and by seeing this weakness of whom, that is of China, Japan, Russia, Germany, France, Belgium, and America, right? What they did, they also acquired the political rights where, that is in China. Next, enormous oil resources in the desert region of West Asia attracted the Europeans to establish colonies there. Okay, now European came to know that oil resources are being seen in more abundance in the West Asia. We know that the Asia countries have lot of oil resources, and anyone capturing having that oil resources is said to be a more income generating point. Okay, for that reason, these made the European countries, attracted them. They came to know about it, like the desert regions is there in the Western Asia, right? And over there more oil resources can be seen, so that attracted the European countries to move themselves towards the Western Asia side, and they established their colonies over there. Where did they establish their colonies? That is in the West Asia. Next, England, Germany, and America. England, Germany, and America established oil companies in Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, and Bahrain, and made efforts to take care of their own interest. Okay, first was the European countries got attracted of the oil resources in the Western Asia. Okay, then England, Germany, Russia, America, these all countries established their own oil companies. Where? At Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, and Bahrain. Over here, more oil resources can be seen, and made efforts to take care of their own interest. That means oil companies were of them, and they were taking interest in their own income to earn more and more. They were taking part in that. Who? That is these countries over there, where in the West Asia, in these countries. Who? That is England, Germany, Russia, and America. Okay, students, now we will move on to, that is colonialism in Russia. The first now. First we have seen about, that is the Western Europe. Then we have seen that is of Asia, how Asian countries were being captured by the Western European countries. Okay. Now we'll see how the African countries were being captured, how the Western European countries established their colonies over African countries. The Dutch established its colony for the first time at the end of 15th century in the South Africa. Okay, Dutch country established what their colony over for the first time in the 15th century, that is in South Africa. Then after that, England and France established their colonies. After that, after Dutch, that is after Dutch, England and France, what they did, they established their colonies in Cape and Algeria in the North Africa, respectively. Okay, now what they're saying over here, after Dutch, England, and France, they established their colony at Cape and Algeria in the North Africa, respectively. That means South Africa was being captured by the Dutch, England, and France. They captured Cape and Algeria, that is in the North Africa. The southern side by Dutch, and the northern side by England and France. Then the vast province of Africa seemed quite suitable for acquiring raw material and selling ready products post industrial revolution. Okay, now over here the main thing. The vast province of Asia, Africa was quite suitable of acquiring what? Raw material. That means more raw material was seen where in the vast province of Africa. Okay, and selling ready products was post industrial revolution. Over here, post means after industrial revolution, right? Industrial revolution, and you all know what is industrial revolution, bringing new technology in the industries, right, for creating more production. That I can say that is said to be as industrial revolution, make good changes in that. Okay, and over here they are saying over here the Africa seem to be having a quite good suitable raw materials, and easily it can be selling ready products for post industrial revolution, because of which, now because of what, European countries competed to establish colonies. Okay, by knowing that, see, we have seen in Asia that they found that the more oil resources can be seen in the West Asia, and that made that lead to the European countries, and that attracted European countries to move to West Asia. Similarly, over here in Africa, when the European countries came to know that more suitable raw material can be gained from the continent of Africa, that is from different countries of Africa, so what they thought now? They thought of capturing or establishing their colonies where? In Africa. King Leopold of Belgium seized the vast province of Congo and established his rule, right? He acquired the province of Congo and established what? His rule. Who did that? That is King Leopold. Next, England established its colony in, now over here England. Over here we can see England has captured Cap. Now England didn't stopped over there. England moved on. England established colony in Egypt, some province of East Africa, and some province of South Africa, right? Some province, that is Cape of North Africa, was conquered by England. Nor even did England stopped over there. Even he established colony over Egypt, some province of eastern side, Eastern Africa also, and some province of South Africa was conquered by whom? That is by England. Next, now we'll move on, that is with France. France established its colony in Tunisia, Morocco, and West Province. Now over here we have seen first France conquered Algeria, that was in North Africa. Okay, he didn't even stopped over there. He even established his colony over Tunisia, Morocco, and West Africa province. Next, Germany established its empire. Now we'll move on, that is, we have seen England, we have seen France, now come the third, that is Germany. Germany established its empire in some province of East and West Africa. Some province of East and West Africa were conquered by whom? That is by Germany. Now England, France, Germany, now comes Italy. Italy captured the African province around the Red Sea. Okay, Italy ने क्या conquer किया? That is the African province near the Red Sea. Spain and Portugal also seized some province of Africa. First was, see students, I'm repeating it again and again. Which countries captured different regions, different countries of Africa, right? Western countries. That is, first was England. So second was France. Now third was Germany. We saw it Italy. Now comes Spain and Portugal. Spain and Portugal also seized some province of Africa. Okay, then a conference of the European nations was held in Berlin. A conference was held in Berlin of the European nation, in which year? 1884-85. 1884-85, a conference was held by European nations where in Berlin. In the midst means middle of this competition to establish colony. What was the reason of calling for the conference in Berlin, that was to for the competition to establish what, that is colonies in the middle time, 1884-85. Then different African territories were divided among the European nations at the end of the conference. Now, the European countries came to an conclusion in the conference, and the different African territories were divided between the different European countries. That means conclusion में क्या आया कि European countries ने क्या decide किया, like we will be dividing the African territories among us. Okay, that was being decided where, in the conference which was held where, that is in Berlin, in which year, 1884-85. Okay, then thus, the colonial dominance of different European nations established over the entire Africa, right? We have seen the conference. What was the reason of the doing conference in Berlin in 1884-85? That was the nations were being divided. They were by in between the European countries, and now the dominance of the European countries was seen in the entire Africa, as it was being seen in Asia, the same it was seen in Africa. Then, while on one hand the greedy European nations were trying to colonize various Asian and African territories, on other hand, right, on one hand the greedy European nations were trying to colonize various Asian and African territories, right? They were like capturing the different African and Asian territories at one hand. On the other hand, now what was Germany doing and Italy doing? Germany and Italy had completed the process of its respective political unification. Right, the unification was being done between Germany and Italy. They completed the process respectively. Now, thus the unified Germany plugged into the competition of industrialization, commercialization, and colonization. Okay, first, if I can say you that Germany was only to one process, that is of achieving or conquering the different territories. Okay, but slowly when they came to know that more advantages or more thing can be taken from these countries, okay, from the different countries of Africa. Now what they started doing, industrialization means they started establishing industries. Commercialization means they started doing business over there, and even we know that they have captured the different, and they even established their colonies where in Africa. Then, thus these quickly changing global phenomena had exploited some of these countries politically, economically, and that is socially, and due to which the development had stopped. This led to the First World War. Okay, the different nations were only capturing the different nation, or they were establishing their colony, but at one side a new thing was being done by Germany by establishing its more competition, not only in colonization but even in industrialization and commercialization. That means Germany wanted to become a power, a superpower, right? And for that reason Germany started even expanding its industries and even commercially also. That was been done by whom? That is by Germany. And because of that reason it totally ruined the development of these countries, even politically, economically, and even what, that is socially. So all quickly change was being seen of one step taken by whom? One step taken by Germany. That one step changed the whole phenomena. That whole environment of phenomena was being changed by the step taken by Germany, and that lead to totally exploitation of these countries. Okay, politically it was totally destroyed, economically it was totally destroyed, and even socially it was totally destroyed. and that lead, let me say you student, that lead to not having development, that development was stopped, and because of that reason, let me say you that the first world war, I said you, right, the first world war, the reason for the first world war was who, which country? That is Germany, that led to the first world war. Okay student, I conclude over here the topic, that is Europe, about the Europe, that is after that colonization of Asia, and the colonization of whom? That is of Africa. Now the important thing what you need to do, that is the question which I'm reading it now, you need to write it, write the chapter name, chapter number 2, First World War and Russian Revolution, you need to write it. In each video, one question will be given to you, and even the answers will be given to you, and you need to write it in your notebook. And when you will come to the school, we are going to see it, that you have written the question answer or not. So the first question which you need to write is, that is, discuss the process of establishment of colony in West Europe, Asia, and Africa. Okay, so students, I have, according to that, I have made the video. I have separated the West Europe part. I have made the points, and even Asia part is also been separated, and even the Africa point is been separated over here. Okay, so you need to write all these points. All these points you need to write according to it, the way I have written it in the slides, in the page, in that same manner you need to even write this questions answer. Okay, and when it comes to the country, like if I explained you about the colonization of Africa, so I have even separated that, even फ्रांस ने कौन सी कंट्री को किया, इंग्लैंड ने कौन सी कंट्री को किया, दैट ऑल पॉइंट्स आर बीन डिफ्रेंशिएटेड बाय मी इन द सेम मैनर, एंड इन द सेम मैनर you need to write it in your notebook. One question you need to write it.